With the OpEx model, one thing we've seen with our customers is executives don't expect to see a fairly high bill every month, right? So they get a bill for $100,000 every month, and they're like, well, what is going on? This is crazy expensive. And so it's one of those things that if you work in the old mindset, you will encounter things that are either disappointing or unexpected or surprising or alarming. In the same way, you know, if we have our developers writing lots of queries that are not tight, you know, they use select star for everything, and they don't use enough filtering on their where clauses, and they bring back 300 megabytes of data instead of potentially the 30 megabytes of data that is only needed for that specific report or query, then we see those data egress costs go way up because you're pulling back much more data than you need to. And no one's ever thought of it before in those terms.
And then you also get the C-level solution, which is throw resources at a problem, right? So when you start getting those egress issues, you scale up, at which point you go from 100,000 a month to 120 or 130. Then you fix the problem. Then you realize that your vendor may not let you scale back.
Right. Or it may take a long time, or the bad habits that the developers are using just continue to suck up more resources. And as they are consumed, you have to spend. Yeah. Whereas on the old on-premises style, we usually buy extra headroom so that if you're a little bit sloppy in those kinds of ways, it doesn't matter so much. But in the cloud, you pay for every cycle of CPU. You pay for all of that storage, all of those IOPS. Now, this is just a quick slide to let you know that there are some well-proven paths to doing this kind of analysis. And they're for both Azure and AWS, they have what's called the well-architected framework. And they each have their own, but they're quite good. And they're very similar. They're not identical, but they take you through the best practices of that early part of planning. Maybe you need to set up what we call a landing zone, which is kind of a very large kind of test sandbox to prove out your concepts and so forth. Then as you do your work and you actually accomplish work, now you can measure and see how much it costs. You can see if your developers are learning the new practices and so forth. So put that on your list of further research later on down the line for the well-architected framework for the cloud vendor of your choice. Now, from here, once you get it in place, monitoring and observability is more important than ever because you pay for everything. So when you have poorly performing code, you need to recognize that it's now a spending issue as well as a performance issue. Whereas often on premises, it's not a spending issue. It's like, we need to get better performance. What can we do to improve that? So it's a whole different sort of philosophy, if you will.